Secondly, there's getting the right permits to go. If you go, will the Israelis let you leave again? How difficult will it be? News agencies can't invest that much money in insurance on sending people to Gaza. Although I'd like to say that in the current situation, incursions by Israel notwithstanding, I believe it is safe for journalists to go. Go and see. I walked around Rafah at night on my own as a journalist. There was no threat at all. It's a heavily policed, well-guarded area. So I would endorse going and seeing that. So there are practical reasons why the message isn't getting out. I think on top of that, there is very much an agenda that it follows an Israeli military line broadly, that this is a place of terror, and the story there is about security for Israel. So why not just report from Israel then? So there is a bias in this so-called balance of reporting.
But do you see? I mean, with your kind of work, with the work on the ground by the various campaigns for Palestine and the like, can you see that there's a greater interest, a greater level of awareness, throughout either the UK or Europe or maybe the Western world?
I think what I'm finding coming back from Gaza is when I tell people in the public, members of my own family and friends, and I describe what's going on, that they are so shocked that they can't believe it. Even when I went back to Palestine, because I watched so much news media, even I had a moment of thinking, am I going to be a hated Westerner? Am I going to be seen as British, to blame for the Balfour Treaty? Am I going to be kidnapped by Islamic Jihad? And when you get there, the truth is you're welcomed with open arms. People want to engage. People want to protect Westerners who go to Gaza and the West Bank, because they want to be heard. And even I had a distorted view of what the people there are like. Isn't that strange?
Let's talk a little about you, and I wouldn't be doing this interview justice if I didn't ask about your own family relationship with former Prime Minister Tony Blair. He's your brother-in-law, yet you were known to be one of his staunchest opponents in terms of his policies, in terms of the war in Iraq, the British policies in Palestine and the like. How was that like? How was that met within family circles?
Well, Tony is a good husband, he's a good father, he's a good family member. But within all families, you're allowed, hopefully in a democracy, to air your views freely. This is why we love Britain, you know. I was first and foremost, as well as a family member, I was a socialist and someone who believed very strongly in freedom and justice for all the peoples of the world. So when the
so in a sense, from the very same background that Tony came from.
No. We're both British, let's just say that. We're
That's
both
where it
British.
ends.
Yeah, I think there's a class divide. I think he believes in truth and justice as well, but it takes you in very different places. And then when I started finding out about the Palestine question, and I thought, well, why isn't this being represented in government? Why are these voices not being heard? And so I went my way, and he went his way, and the rest is history. But really, what's very interesting is how severely the quartet and his role as Middle East envoy has come under criticism in the past month. There was just last week 21 aid agencies, the big 21, saying the quartet has not only failed in bringing justice to the region, it has acted against Palestine, and it has been a force for bad in the region, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope the people in those offices are ashamed of their lack of commitment to peace and justice and the health and the rights of Palestinian citizens. They should be ashamed.
What kind of, how did that influence your own campaigning? I mean, you spoke on a number of platforms opposing the government's decision to go to war in Iraq. You've criticised, the former Prime Minister on many occasions. I mean, obviously, whilst you being an activist, you being a human rights campaigner, you being a journalist, but you can't separate it from your personal relationship with with the house of the Prime Minister, can you?
I think it's been incredibly helpful.
Really?
Yes, of course it has, because that relationship has allowed the press to compare two different viewpoints on questions concerning the Middle East. And so just because people are obsessed with celebrity and family links, I hope that I have aired many people's views and been given a platform on a rather flimsy, reasoning, this celebrity-based relationship with the press. However, it has meant that the Quartet's office in the last month have had to answer questions about Gaza. They've had to think about the situation. And so it's been very helpful.
I mean, it's been quite good also to the Arab audiences who also see your example and say, well, if you can't really judge one entire family, and shade them with, then you can't say the same about. Well, you definitely must see that the entire country is the same.
I've never thought of it like that.
Well, that's been reported in many articles that I've seen. I thought that was a very, very positive view. Now let's come back to Gaza. I mean, where do you see the future in terms of either the siege itself and how, the campaign to break the siege? There was supposed to be another voyage, but was delayed for various reasons. But do you see that is a sort of practical, useful process to see through, or do you think that there should be other venues, experimented with? Well,
let's say the words that I love to say good news for Gaza. I love saying those words. We really did break the siege. The simplicity and innocence of this voyage, where foreign nationals, largely non-Arabs, therefore beyond the racist contempt that so many governments treat the Arab and the Muslim world at the moment, are able to travel freely around the world and to use this channel, particularly between the Mediterranean nations, in this case Cyprus and Gaza. This channel is now open.